Shalom, shalom, shalom. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 28, verse 8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. First and foremost, I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders who have spread the truth out the four corners. Any last days, I'm here with another Can't Be lesson. Let's get it.
What would happen if China invaded the United States right now? Chinese warships appear off the U.S. West Coast. Fighter jets roar overhead as missiles streak toward naval bases in San Diego and Pearl Harbor. Explosions light up the sky. China has launched a full-scale invasion. Chinese troops skydive from warplanes and descend over Los Angeles and Seattle, seizing airports and key highways. China declares that years of U.S. sanctions, military buildup in the Pacific, and economic warfare have left it no choice but to strike first. Within minutes, hypersonic missiles hit U.S. military bases in Hawaii, Guam, and Alaska. American fighter jets scramble, but Chinese bombers are already striking naval ports. In a shocking move, China lands troops along the California coast, targeting key infrastructure. The first major battle on U.S. soil in over 200 years has begun. The U.S. retaliates instantly. Airstrikes cripple Chinese fleets in the Pacific, while troops fortify major cities. The Navy moves to cut off China's supply lines, but Beijing is prepared. Cyber attacks shut down American power grids, causing mass blackouts and economic collapse. As the war spreads, the world chooses sides. Russia invades Eastern Europe, forcing NATO into a two-front war. North Korea bombards South Korea with artillery, while Iran strikes U.S. bases in the Middle East. Meanwhile, India and Japan ally with the U.S., sending reinforcements to the Pacific. Inside the U.S., chaos erupts. Citizens rush to evacuate, and militias rise up to defend their cities. The economy collapses overnight, food shortages spread, and civil unrest breaks out. Then, the unthinkable. China arms its nuclear arsenal, preparing a potential final blow to America. The U.S. responds by arming its entire nuclear stockpile, aiming right back at China. The entire world holds its breath, waiting for what comes next. One wrong move could trigger the end of civilization.
Revelation chapter 11, verse 14. The second woe is past. Woes means destruction, war, calamity. What was the second woe that has passed? World War II. And behold, the third woe cometh quickly. That means World War III. At the end of that video, he ran them alarms, the nuclear missiles, and that was just a summary of woulda, coulda, a war on paper, but that's not happening no more. All that, doing this, that video kind of dragged out the circumstances of war because China wouldn't even do that because they know they don't have to do that. War is not like that no more. War is nuclear now. Everybody has missiles and rockets. Like nobody's doing more than what they have to do. That's what I'm saying. The third war, World War III, the war to end all wars, the war Armageddon, the war when the Lord Yahweh Shai comes back.
Unconditional surrender in World War II. Now, in 1942, the U.S. government began the Manhattan Project, a weapons program tasked with developing a functional atomic bomb. The program was started in response to a similar program undertaken by Nazi Germany in the 1930s. And in July of 1945, they would have their first successful test. Germany had already surrendered by the time of this test, but Japan rejected calls for their surrender, vowing to fight to the end in the Pacific. Wanting to bring a quick end to the war, decided to use his atomic arsenal over the objections of his military advisors. The first was dropped on the city of Hiroshima on August 6th, killing between 70,000 to 135,000 people in the blast and subsequent radiation. But the Japanese still refused to surrender. So 3 days later, the city of Nagasaki was destroyed, and with it 60 to 80,000 people. At noon on August 15th of 1945, Emperor Hirohito announced his country's surrender, and the age of nuclear warfare had officially begun.
I want to give a comparison to bombs. Okay, what happened on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that was an atomic bomb. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was called Little Boy. And I have the picture up here. It's so, like, you see it right there. It's right beside Mount Everest, which is the tallest mountain range. It said atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in World War II. Little Boy and Fat Man. and it's comparing the size of the radius right there. You see those clouds? That's small. Okay, over here, out to the far right, Sarabamba, and if I'm not mistaken, that's considered a nuclear hydrogen bomb. And it said hydrogen, which is nuclear. It said the two A bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki exploded with force equivalent to 15,000 to 20,000 tons of TNT, respectively. And KT means kiloton. Okay, hydrogen bombs, which are thousands of times more powerful than their atomic counterparts. So that's why I'm saying what happened to Nagasaki and Hiroshima was catastrophic. But that's small compared to nuclear, which is hydrogen bombs, and then just the materials and the components in the bomb. So we're in nuclear capability now. This is the war that's going to end all. It's definitely about to end America. This is in the scriptures, Jeremiah, Revelation. You know what I'm saying? The nuclear missiles being shot over here. So this is just a summary of, like, this is nothing to be played with. Like, this is beyond. I remember seeing the movie Oppenheimer. You know what I'm saying? The guy that made, I guess, the bomb, atomic bomb. But yeah, it's just giving you a summary of, like, this is the capability where we at right now. We're not just destroying cities no more. We're destroying continents now. That's the power capability. So.
Boy, I told you guys 2 days ago that they were getting ready to nuke Iran. In fact, I think I even used something like this that you're seeing behind me here in the thumbnail, and I can't believe they're actually going to do it. I'm still in disbelief, because here we are. They're getting ready to pull the trigger. Your world is about to change. Now, we have confirmation that a half dozen, possibly 7 of the 20 B-2 stealth bomber fleet is being forward deployed. I repeat, a half dozen stealth bombers being forward deployed to Diego Garcia Air Base, which is south of the Maldives in the Indian Ocean. This is one of 2 very critical U.S. air bases in the Indo-Pacific. And that, of course, is going to put Yemen and Iran in striking distance. Now, I highly doubt you would need such a massive force for Yemen, especially considering you have all of these aircraft carriers headed to Yemen as we speak. I think there's going to be 4 in total if you add up all of the aircraft carriers of the coalitional forces. So they're getting ready for something major, guys. Now, in order to do Iran, you either need tactical nuclear weapons or you need massive ordnance penetrator bombs that can only be deployed on these big bombers, all right? And you're probably going to need a lot of them, which is why they're amassing so much force. Iran presumably has something the equivalent of an S-400 with good radars that could potentially definitely detect, the U.S.'s normal bombers, maybe even detect the stealth bomber. Who knows? If they can shoot down a stealth bomber, that's going to be a game changer if they can do it. If they can see it, they can shoot it down. They have the means of shooting it down. I mean, the Houthis are shooting down drones operating at 50,000 feet. There's no reason why the Iranians couldn't shoot down a bomber. Never before have the stars been aligned for the neocons in such a way to do Iran, and they probably never will be for years, decades, if ever again, in the way that they are right now. You have the most pro-Israeli government.
This is Revelation chapter 12, verse 7 and 8. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought in his angels. So, we know anything about Michael. Michael's is the top commander of the heavenly hosts. The heavenly host, the heavens has an army. You know what I'm saying? And the dragon, is the Roman Empire, which is we're reborn again, the Renaissance, the rebirth, revised Roman Empire. These are the, the people that's really truly running this earth. You know what I'm saying? And there's gonna be war. And these scriptures goes into when the Lord comes back in the war in verse 8, and prevail not, neither was that place found anymore in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him, because coincidentally, they have jet fighters, and they got certain ones called the Angels as far as in their aircrafts. You know, the jets. You know, they have, like I say, even stealth bombers. You know what I'm saying? So we're on the cusp of something that you see in the video games, Call of Duty. What is that? Ghost Recon, Ghost Battlefield. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're literally on the cusp of the greatest war of all time. And you know, when war comes about, it's a different circumstance. It's a different vibration on the earth. You know, martial law, curfews, food shortages. It's man, we're here, man. We're on the cusp of the greatest war of all time, because when it comes to kingdoms and rulerships, blood had to be shed. It's just not gonna be a handshake. Oh, here you go. You can have your people about. No, at most time it has to comes down to war. In order to have power and gain power, it comes to war. So Lord Yahweh Shah has come back to deliver his people. You so-called niggas, Latino, Haitians, Puerto Ricans, 12 tribes. You know what I'm saying? The elect, the remnant, the remainders that's going to be able to live through all this nuclear catastrophe that's going to happen on this earth. He's going to come back and take. I mean, the angels are coming back with war. And the scriptures, you know, 2nd Ezra, if I'm not mistaken, chapter 13. That's a beautiful chapter to read. That's when the Lord come back with the heavenly host with them. It said, behold, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heavens. And basically, it's like those the chariots. Because Lord Yahweh Shai going to be on his own, the biggest of them all. Then he going to have the angels are going to have their own vehicles. You know what I'm saying? So don't want to drag this lesson out. Basically, I'm just saying this is it. This is the war to end all wars. World War III. You know what I'm saying? So hope this lesson will edify. I want to give our praise to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders that spread the truth out of the four corners. Any last days, I'm here when that can be lesson. Shalom.